So we have seen the external structure, the external anatomy, arrangement of the renal system. Now let's dig deep, let's dissect deep, okay, and see how these kidneys are organized or arranged. Now internally, the kidneys or the overall kidney, which is a bean shaped kidney, is divided into three main layers. Three main layers. And these are the layers, maybe. Let me first. I think the aeroplane is going to work. So you have the cortex, the outer cortex layer. Okay, this one. Then you have the medulla layer. This is the medulla. And finally, you have the renal pelvis. So this is the renal cortex. Renal cortex. It is labeled. Then you have the renal medulla, and finally you have the renal pelvis. Now all these layers, they play key part as far as urine formation is concerned. Each layer plays an important part. Now the kidneys, because there are some delicate organs that are vital in your body, they are surrounded by a layer of fibrous tissue, probably collagen fibers, okay, to maintain that, to provide that tensile strength so that it is not stretched, overstretched, to create, maybe to damage our kidney. And because, you know, one of the functions of fats is to act in quotes as shock absorbers, you also have another layer of adipose tissue that surround these kidneys, all of them, so that you do absorb the shock, okay, that would damage these kidneys. Imagine yourself jumping, the high jumpers. You swim, you propel yourself upwards and then boom, you land. So these organs, they must be well encapsulated or insulated to prevent that gravitational force, to prevent that effect that would be impacted on the organs. So that is the perimeter wall, that is the surrounding of these kidneys. Now, if we go deep in these kidneys, we have the renal medulla, as you can see, the renal medulla. It has some certain portions, eh? These portions here, and they are, let me say, triangular shaped, but they are not triangular because this is a 2D structure. This is a 2D, okay? So you may feel they are triangular in shape, but if you are to study the kidney, the structure of the kidney, they are pyramids. They are in form of pyramids, okay? And these pyramids are known as renal pyramids. In other words, anything concerning kidney, you just add renal pyramids. Actually, there are now these renal pyramids that do have our nephrons, which are actually the functional unit for excretion. So you have numerous nephrons, okay, within these pyramids. And between the pyramids, it's another layer. You can see it's another layer of the outer cortex. It's continuous between the two pyramids. Now, within those pyramids, it's where you have the several nephrons that are well vascularized, that are well supplied with blood capillaries, which actually do carry out the filtration, okay, of our blood. Now at the apex, this is the base and this is the apex. Now at the apex of these pyramids, they form what we call a papilla, okay, which opens into different calyces. If it's one, it's a calyx. So this is a calyx, 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 calyx. And you have the minor calyx and the major calyx. So these pyramids at the apex, they form what we call a papilla, a Renault Papilla, which is that cup-shaped, a Renault Papilla, which opens, or which open, since there are many, into these calyces, calyces. And now these calyces, as you can see, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, they all drain their filtrates, or they all open. It's like a system of tubes. They are like tubes which all drain into this renal pelvis. And now the renal pelvis drains externally into the ureter. And the ureter obviously will reject, will transport its urine, its glomerular filtrate, or its, at this level, okay, it's still a renal filtrate, into the blood for excretion. Now, that is the basic structure. Now, you may feel like, how is it even done? Now, within these pyramids, you have very many nephrons, okay? Very many nephrons that make a system of very many collecting ducts, and these collecting ducts, they all do terminate, okay? They do terminate into one large duct that opens into this calyx, okay? So that one unit, the nephron, which is a functional unit, it will filter out materials, okay? It will filter materials, and then after filtering, it pours its filtrate into a collecting duct, and the collecting duct also pours into one large collecting duct, okay, which will now pour into this calyx, these different calyces, calyx, 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 calyx. So when you pour your filtrate into these calyces, then the calyces, they also drain, they also pour their filtrates into this renal pelvis, okay? And you form your urine, which is transported downwards. Now, our blood capillaries, which we have here, we have our blood vessels, which we have the renal. Remember, we formed the renal artery, which is this, and the renal vein that drains. Now, the renal artery, when it reaches inside, it branches into a network, okay? Very many afferent arterioles, or very many arterioles. Actually, they are still arterioles, and these arterioles, they also branch into a network, a fine network of afferent arterioles that will drain, or that will pour their blood into these different capsules. You have very many capsules. We are going to study, we are going to see an nephron. And as they are pouring their filtrate, so as they are pouring their blood into these capsules, then filtration will occur, and you're going to see the filtration, how it occurs, and they continue as efferent arterioles, which will now surround, which will form a dense network of capillaries that will surround these nephrons. Why? Because as you are filtering this blood, some useful nutrients also get filtered along. For example, the glucose, glucose, tiny molecules, diffusible. Okay? So it will also get filtered. It will also be part of the renal filtrate, glomerular filtrate, the sodium ions, the potassium ions, and so on and so on and so on. But as they are being filtered, they are still needed in the body. So now it's this dense network of blood capillaries that will surround these nephrons that will reabsorb back. Even the water, by the way, even the water must be reabsorbed back. Okay? So even the water must be reabsorbed back. And then the urine that is now formed, that is now collected into these collecting ducts, is the one which will be powered in these renal calyces, to be excreted out as fine urine. So the renal medulla, it is that middle layer with several cone-shaped renal pyramids, these ones, okay? And the base faces in the cortex. This is the base of the renal pyramid, and it faces in the renal cortex, which is the outer region, outer layer, and the renal papilla, this one, which is the apex. The renal papilla, it points towards the hilea, the renal pelvis. And this is actually, we saw that the liver forms that lobule, which is a functional unit for all these activities that occur, that take place in a liver. Now also here, it is these renal pyramids that are actually functional units for the functioning of the kidney. They are the ones which actually contain those specific organs, the functional unit, that specific site where urine formation is going to be formed from, the nephron. And it's really amazing. It's really amazing to have that deep understanding of the structure of the kidney. Now the whole of this, the renal cortex, the renal medulla, together with the renal pelvis, they can be referred to as the renal parenchyma of the kidney. And it is actually where filtration or urine formation is concerned. Now, let's talk about the pyramid and have that deep understanding, have that basic understanding, and appreciate what actually happened. Now, like we said, the outer layer is the renal cortex, then the middle layer is the renal medulla. Medulla. I think it comes from middle, renal medulla. And then the renal medulla at the base, which the base of the renal medulla, okay, you form pyramids, renal pyramids, and at the base, the renal papilla is connected, or it opens directly into the renal calyx. And you have the minor calyx, which connects directly to the renal papilla, like how you can see, and the major calyx down, which opens directly into the renal pelvis. Now, if you are to magnify, if you are to zoom in and have that basic understanding of a nephron, we shall be able to see that actually these nephrons, the functional units, of our liver, they do span between the renal cortex and the renal medulla, whereby you have the upper region, which constitutes the renal capsule, this capsule together with the glomerulus, and the convoluted tubules, both the distal and the proximal and the distal, they are all found in the renal cortex. But now the loops of Henle, these ones, the loops of Henle, they will be found where? In the renal medulla. Now, it is not by mistake that it is like that. No, it's not by mistake. But there is a reason. Okay? Once urine is formed in this renal capsule, which constitutes the capsule and the glomerulus, it will be formed together with useful nutrients, the water, the glucose, the sodium ions, and stuff like that. They will be formed within. So they must be absorbed back. And how is it absorbed? Yes, energy is involved in that you have to actively pump the sodium ions, the potassium ions out of the glomerular filtrate. And as you're pumping these ions out, you'll be increasing the concentration of this renal medulla. Hence water, or much water, is going to be absorbed. And you can see the loop of Henle together with the collecting ducts where much water is absorbed is actually, they do actually span within this renal medulla. So because of that, then you will easily absorb the water and the nutrients back. And depending on the degree of spanning through this renal medulla, it actually gives us the two types of nephrons. And we are going to see them, I think, in the next slide, the two types of nephrons. Okay? Yes. So as you're forming your glomerular filtrate in this renal capsule, it will continue in the proximal convoluted tubule and then into the long loop of Henle, and it continues upwards in the ascending limb, then to the distal convoluted tubule, and finally makes it into the collecting duct. Now this is one nephron. This is one nephron. But the collecting duct actually makes, it has numerous nephrons. Very many. Very many. In each one renal pyramid, you expect to find there very many nephrons. So as this nephron drains, as this nephron filters, it will drain into this collecting duct. The same applies to this. The same applies to this. The same applies to this. This, and many others. Now, the entire fluid is going to collect up into this one large collecting duct, and you would have very many collecting ducts also. Okay, you would have very many collecting ducts, and all these collecting ducts, they will all drain into the renal calyx, which is connected at the base of the renal pyramid. Now the renal calyx, as usual, it will drain into the pelvis, and the pelvis into the ureters, Now, urine in the ureters, it flows, number one, under the influence of gravity, but we also have their peristaltic movements. That still it can be ejected, it can be forced to move within the ureter. That there is this, is it a fact? You can fact check it, that it can even move against gravity because of the peristaltic movements within the ureter. Okay? And then pushed to the urinary bladder where it is temporarily stored and finally ejected out of the body through the opening of the penis or the urethral opening into the vestibule and pushed out. So basically that's that deep understanding, okay, of the urinary system.